Thanks for downloading this special episode of the ThunderCast. You can find us on Twitter at ThunderCast_pod. As you can see, it's not me and Russ. It's not me and Jed. It's not Russ and Jed. It's KD Hudnall back once again with two of the very most important people that you want to know if you want to know what's going on with Marshall University. And that, of course, is Jimmy Black, National President of Marshall University Alumni Association, and the face everybody really knows, Matt James, VP of Alumni Relations for Marshall University. Guys, appreciate the time. I'm excited to talk to you.
Hey, sorry to talk to you tonight, Katie.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Man, anything I can do to grow support for the university, we at the ThunderCast want to do. We got Alumni Weekend coming up. I know we're going to talk about all that. But when we had you on last time, we talked about some goals that you guys wanted to lay out for the Alumni Association as a whole. So I wanted to check in with how that's going. You wanted to grow membership. You want to expand the footprint across the country. So, all right, Jimmy, I'm putting you in the hot seat. What's new with the Alumni Association?
Yeah, hey, thanks for having us tonight, Katie. A lot's new with Marshall. I think, obviously, Matt and I are biased, but I think that we've accomplished a lot of what we've set out to do. I'll let Matt get into the details about chapters and how we're growing that and everything we're doing to, grow membership and raise the notoriety. But first of all, I think you see that I don't think anyone can go on any social media without seeing Matt or his partner in crime, Walker.
Yeah.
They're all over the state of West Virginia. They're all over the country. They're on morning shows and Times Square. Just raising the good word about Marshall University. So first of all, about raising awareness for Marshall University, check. I think we've definitely done that. But I represent an amazing board of approximately 30 folks and countless, alumni across the country that's just very dedicated and just very willing to give back to Marshall and help out. And so kind of how I see our boards, we really have what I like to call 2 seasons. So I like to split our fiscal year in half. So homecoming is one half, and then our alumni award season, the second half. So we're in that second half right now, gearing up for our alumni awards season. We have our meeting coming up on Friday, April the 10th, before alumni weekend. It's gonna be a great time to celebrate our alumni that weekend, and a lot of great events going on. And I'll I'll kick it to Matt, talk about kind of what we're doing, growing chapters, and maybe we can talk about that weekend a little bit as well.
Yeah, I'm glad, man. It's, that's what we always want to hear. We as Marshall alumni, by and large, want to hear that more people are becoming involved with our university. There are so many passionate alums, and
Absolutely.
a lot of them, for a long time, it felt like didn't know where they could get in and fit in, and how can I be a part of something? And when we talked to you guys last year and you're like, we're putting a big emphasis on growing the Alumni Association and expanding. I love to hear that you made some progress in that. So Matt, you've got some of the numbers, maybe like how did we do this last year?
Yeah. So I also call it the Brad effect. It's a lot easier when you've got the right man in charge. It's our first alum to serve as president, right? So it's really easy for everyone to get behind Brad Smith. Kenny, as I travel the country, and I think I may have told you this last time, it was really easy to find folks who were looking for ways to get involved. It's just a lot of folks. I don't know if the communication effort wasn't there. We'll talk about our relationship with athletics growing in a little bit. That has really helped bringing everybody under the same tent, but specifically the chapters. So when I came into this role, we were coming out of the pandemic. We had 9 chapters around the country that were active, meaning they were meeting. They were still, some of them fundraising, some of them not. We wanted to look at our chapters and figure out how could they actually make an impact, support, President Smith's vision for Marshall for all, Marshall forever, and also find a way to grow that tent. Specifically, when we all graduated from Marshall, when we were students here, the first touch point for me, I'll never forget, was a terrible experience. I'm part of the student debt generation. I come from middle-class parents, first generation college student. As I go through countdown to commencement, I just paid my diploma fee. I just paid for a cap and gown. And then I've got the Alumni Association at the last table saying, do you want to join the Alumni Association? I'm like, yeah, I love Marshall. Mm-hmm. And they said, give us a donation. You can have a t-shirt. That turned me off so bad. And that could not be the first touch point. So what we've done specifically, Jimmy mentioned, in addition to tripling now the number of chapters because we've given them structure, we've gotten them involved, we focus specifically on young alumni. How did we do that? I had a lot of eyes roll in this building and across campus when I said I want to hire a 22-year-old to be a director of alumni engagement. I was a staff of one for about a year and a half. Thankfully, Jimmy and the board were there to support me in the efforts we're trying to do. But we hired Walker Tatum. He was the student body president last year, an absolute rock star. And I thought, where he might lack experience and we can sharpen that tool as, we work with him as a young professional, just putting him out in front of folks that look like him, right? It's hard for me to say, I'm getting a little bit older. I don't connect with 22-year-old college students the way that, someone who looks just like them. So that's really where we've seen the growth, chapters, but also pulling young people under the tent. Our first touch point is not give us money. It's let us give you a gift and give you a reason to get involved. And then when they get rich and successful, obviously we'll ask for a check, but that's down the road.
Yeah. And in a great way that, I gotta give Matt Walker credit for this is, Matt clearly took that, anchor moment in his life and kind of wanted to repeal that. So now at graduation, we hand out the graduating, seniors or, all the, master's, doctorate, well, all the graduates of Marshall, they get a free Marshall t-shirt, with, their first custom, Sailor Marshall. So you see example right there.
Oh, that's dope, dude.
And so, and you would not believe how crazy and how passionate these students get, whether they're 22 or 42, when they walk across the stage and they get a free Marshall t-shirt. Their parents are trying to grab extra, we got to turn people away. But, that's definitely a much better, much memorable moment for these folks on the, one of the most special days of their lives than, hey, give us 10, 20, $50. You could be part of Alumni Association. Now they have, when they think of alumni, they think of, hey, this is a positive moment. And that's something we can build on. Cause when I meet with President Smith and, Matt said it so eloquently, our young alumni are, one of the most important areas we need to focus on, and we are focusing on, because I call it like that lost decade. So I think a lot myself. After I graduated, I really, people focus on the career, the families, whatever. And then you find yourself in your mid 30s, and people tend to kind of, drift back to the university. But what we're trying to do is, hey, what can we do to keep those folks engaged? And not waste 10 years and when they can be active, even if they don't have money to be active, people can volunteer their time, their resources, their knowledge. There's a lot more ways to be active alumni than just, monetarily.
And let me give you one last number, Katie, really quick. So we looked at just the data we had, right? And you're only as strong as your data. And I told Jimmy this, I think his eyes about popped out of his head. There's about 56,000 of our 120,000 alumni living around the world. 56,000 live in West Virginia. Not a surprise, our home state. Only 1,500-ish to 1,600 of them were active alumni, meaning they had contributed $1 or more in the last year. That simply wasn't good enough, but it also is because we had attached everything to the dollar, right? And no relationship can start talking about money. That's awkward, weird. And so, we've just rebranded, and I think we're starting to see the benefits of that.
Absolutely. Let me talk about the young alumni thing for a moment. I think that hits the nail on the head, and it's to me, if I were a guy in that room and you pitched that to me, I wouldn't have been an eye roll. I would have been like, that's perfect, because you talked about a new growing relationship with athletics. And I'm going to talk, this is the perfect way to drive that home for the majority of our listeners, since they're sports centric, right? How do you build a fan base? You get them while they're students, and they build that passion while they're students. So they have great times at football games and basketball games. So when they become alums, they want to come back to football games and to basketball games, and they buy season tickets and they buy merchandise. It's no different when you're talking about a graduate and becoming an active alum. If they have a great experience at Marshall University, you want to capture that while they're young and get them involved while they're young. So they're an alumni association member for 25, 35, 45, 50 years, because they you're grasping a hold of them while it's still fresh and they still really love the hell out of Marshall. And really what you're doing is providing an environment for that love and that passion to just continue to grow within, right? Jimmy, you hit it really specifically for me. I graduated. Nobody from the Alumni Association ever reached out to me, ever, like ever. So what was I trying to do to figure out, like, how do I want to be involved with Marshall other than go to games, which I love doing? Like, I go to games and all that kind of stuff. And, this opportunity came along and this idea came along, and I'm like, I can never give $1 million to the university, but I can sit behind a microphone and I can keep people around the country and around the world who are Marshall fans engaged and at least abreast of what's going on with herd athletics, and sometimes even what's going on with the university itself. So that's how I found my niche. But who knows how this might have gone if in 2003 somebody from the Alumni Association would be like, hey, would you like to join? Maybe I would have reacted like Matt and said, I'm broke. I don't have any money to join, But who knows? So there are people out there that are just like me that are trying to figure out a way to get involved. And I want to be closer to the herd. Golly, man, everybody wants to be closer to the herd. So I'd love to hear that you've tripled your chapters in a year. That's phenomenal. You said 1,500 out of 56,000. Was that the number?
That's the number, of active alums in West Virginia. And that was when we were just looking at, assigning money to that membership, right? And what's cool is you can join an alumni chapter without any type of donation. And so that's why we're trying to pull them under the tent immediately, right?
Yeah, that's such a small number for such a huge percentage of Marshall alumni. Yeah. There's a lot of West Virginians out there. We take a lot. I think we're going to tie this to athletics again. The messaging that's been coming out of the Shoey with Coach Tony Gibson and how everything is about, I get it. I'm from West Virginia. I identify with you guys. I know what it's like. Same thing. We're all West Virginians. We're proud as hell of it. So we might as well be able to come together a little bit more and a little bit more of a concentrated effort than 1,500 out of 56,000. You ought to be talking about 25,000, 30,000 people that are involved. And you want to talk about a passionate state and a passionate fan base. West Virginia and Marshall, they're intertwined, right? So how do we capture those people? I'm asking, but I'm also kind of like wondering, how do you capture them? We know they're out there. How do we get them?
And another number, and Jimmy, you can speak on this if you want to, but just talking about the athletic piece. So one thing we're about to announce very soon, I'll give you a spoiler, is we're going to start considering those who give to the Big Green. To me, like, you're giving to the Big M. That's an active alum. And so we have a new CEO here, Nico Cara goes in. He gets it too. He's a former football player in college. He understands that really athletics is the sexy piece of being an alumnus. When I took this job, there was a divide between alumni and athletics. I remember calling Teddy Klumper and saying, so I hear that our offices don't get along, and we both laughed, and neither of us understood that. That Christian Spears' vision, President Smith's vision, the foundation CEO's vision is that it's all one Marshall tent. So there's almost 6,000 members of Big Green every year, and the majority of those folks are in West Virginia. There's not a lot of crossover right now. So once we start merging those populations even further, you're just going to see more and more traction. You mentioned Coach Gibson too. He does get it. We talk about Alumni Weekend coming up. We're kicking off that weekend the morning of Saturday, and there's a couple of private events on Friday night. But this is the first time that alumni and athletics actually coordinated to pick the same date. And there was sacrifices on both ends. We had to move a huge banquet and a huge scholarship brunch to accommodate, to make sure the quarterback club, and I got to give credit to Mark George, longtime president of that group, who reached out to us to say, this is the date that works best for Coach Gibson and the team, because it's also a recruiting initiative. But we're kicking off that weekend on April 12th at 11:30 a.m. for the spring fountain ceremony. Coach Gibson is bringing the entire football team. That's never happened. Like in the 50, this year's 55 years, crazy, since 1970. That in November, when we are somber and remember, or in the spring when we celebrate the young thundering herd and our rebirth, imagine just the symbolism. They're meeting at the stadium and they're all marching over in their jerseys, and they're going to be at the ceremony together. So when he says he gets it, like, that's something he literally asked, can I bring the team? And we're like, what do you mean, can you bring the team? Of course, like, they've never been there. So it's all everybody getting on the same page and pulling in the same direction.
It bugs me a bit just as an alum, as a nobody alum, right? I'm John Q graduate, that our alumni arm and our athletics arm were not like, they were at odds with one another. And it's like, I get, you might be competing for some dollars. I get that, but you're still the herd, right? We're still part of the herd. I love the fact that you're going to you've strengthened that relationship. They're willing to give a little. You're willing to give a little to create something for the greater good. You're right. People by and large love athletics, and you're right again. It's the sexy part of being an alum, and that's where all the bright colors and the cheering and the hooting and hollering is, right? And I've never been a formal banquet guy. I mean, look at me, man. I don't fit in those rooms like that. I'm a t-shirt and jeans dude. I'm not a shirt and tie guy, right?
Give yourself more credit, KD.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not. I'm just saying, I've got a closet full of t-shirts and jeans. I don't have a closet full of shirts and ties. That's what I'm saying. So you'd be more apt to find me on a Saturday in the fall in the West Lot than sitting at a scholarship brunch, for example. What you used, and I get that, and I understand that. But I understand that both should be equally important to me. Mm-hmm. If our endowment's not growing, if our alumni base is not growing, kind of what are we doing here? Like, Marshall's awesome. I love watching them play sports, but they gave me a degree. I mean, I earned it, but they awarded me a degree. So much of who I am as a guy, as an adult man, I learned on the campus of Marshall University. Some of it inside a classroom, some of it outside of a classroom. But nonetheless, it was during those years in the city of Huntington, West Virginia, on the campus or the surrounding areas of Marshall University. It's a formative experience. It's very important, right? And we need to nurture that and find more ways to grow it. So talk to me a little bit more about this growing relationship with athletics. That's what's going to perk up the ears of the majority of our listeners.
Yeah, Jimmy, you want to start, and then I'll fill in any gaps. I've been talking a lot.
No, I mean, athletics is your baby. You can go ahead.
Yeah, no, honestly, we just keep leaning into one another. So, like you mentioned, the brunch, and then also the spring game, right? That's Saturday at 3. Like, there's something for everybody at Alumni Weekend. We'll touch base on that a little bit more. But we really wanted to lean in, because if that is where the majority of our alumni are, for example, and this has been part of this rebranding effort, when I talk to my colleagues in the foundation, it's just change, and it's changing the conversation. Not the majority of alumni are, turned on to the fact of, let me donate to just a random scholarship, unless you had a really good experience in your program, right? Or you had somebody like us, Kenny, we were close with Professor Babb in chemistry. But if you can personalize a student, like our student athletes, when you go to a game and then you find out that kid's story, they're kids to me now, and then you find out, oh, he also happens to be a journalism major. Oh, then you want to see that the journalism school is highly underfunded historically. Like, that's also going to drive money, not just to athletics, but also to the foundation of the academic scholarships. But we're in a new era, and this is what I've had to help educate, my colleagues here. This is the NIL era. We have to lean in, whether we agree on it or not, whether it's fair or not. This is reality. Christian Spears has said that this is reality. So we've got to be willing to divert more of those resources to athletics if we're going to continue to grow as a university. Schools can only grow with their athletic programs. And so it's just, again, it's us being able to realize the reality of that. And then also realizing, like, as athletics rises, so will the foundation. And Brad says this all the time. It's one Marshall tent.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're coordinating everything together. The coaches tour used to be just an athletic event. So now you've got the associate athletic director and a couple of their staff. They're not even planning it this year until they can pull Walker, Jimmy, and I on a call later this month to say, okay, how does alumni want to connect? Because they also realize, they're a small niche group, but we've got the data and the access. We've got a listserv of 70,000 people that we protect, because we don't just sell that information or give it away. And we have a high open rate in our alumni newsletter. So we're finding out, like, what are the strengths and the tools each group has, and how do we put those together? And then also being willing to, like, get out of the way and let athletics be in the front. And then we back them up.
Yeah. And, I think you both said it earlier, we're all the same herd. And so how do herds travel? They travel together. You don't have some members of the herd going north and some going west, some in the east going south. So I think, a great thing that we've done, going back to us growing chapters. So when we played Ohio State this fall, we coordinated with athletics to have the tailgate. We do that at our away conference games, whether it be, James Madison or Virginia Tech, all these things. So we're working together. And also, let's be honest, some of our most high profile alumni are our athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason why when teams make a big run in the NCAA tournament, which I hope y'all's upsets are doing much better than mine so far. I took a flyer on High Point when I should have picked McNeese State apparently. But when programs rise up, or even my own personal story, growing up hours south of Seattle in Spanaway, Washington, only reason I know what Marshall University is because I saw Randy Moss hurdle an Army guy and run for 90 yards. That was my first introduction to Marshall University.
Mm-hmm.
And now, 30 years later, I'm the president of the National Marshall Alumni Association. So it's important for us to be engaged with our athletes and let's be honest, what's the statistics? Less than 2% of college athletes go pro. So our student athletes need the Alumni Association as well, and our contacts and our networking to help them decide what their next career is going to be, after they graduate from school also. So, it's got to, we all got to go together. And I thank, athletics and the Marshall Foundation for what we've done to improve and grow our relationship over the years. I know we're just going to continue to grow and improve it as well.
Just one more thing, Kenny, on that. Like when we're talking about the chapters, the coaches, like Corny Jackson, Greg Beals, Julie Folks, like these are our biggest supporters. And I never would have thought that our head coaches, all of them, like I can't think of one that has not supported our chapter efforts. When we went to Beckley a couple weekends ago for their big fundraiser, Greg and his wife, Kathy, came down, and Greg gave like a speech from the heart where he talked about, I've worked at Ohio State and it's Ohio State. Like, is there a better brand, whether you hate them or not? Like, is there a better brand? I don't hate them, but he said that the alumni base at this school is special. Like it's even more special than Ohio State, but we're sacrificing for each other. These are some of the busiest folks there are. Tony Gibson, we have our newest chapter. So our 31st alumni chapter, for example, just founded at Woodlands Retirement Community. These are some of the most amazing people. They literally have given back, many of them with their money for years. They're retired faculty and staff. Some of them have given back with their service. So we go up there once a month. It's called Marshall Mondays. And so we have a guest speaker from the university. We thought, let's just throw it out there. Let's see if Coach Gibson would come and do like the grand finale. We don't meet in the summer. So May, we actually thought April or May. He literally said, of course I want to come up there. And it might be 20 people. Now I know they'll probably pack the room for him, but the fact that he's willing to give an hour and a half of his evening to come up and talk to 20 supporters, knowing that they might not even be able to physically make it to the stadium for the games, but he gets the big picture. I mean, there's just sacrifices all around. And I just think that's important to note.
Yeah, I think it is as well. I think what it says to me is if there were egos at one point in time, they're kind of all getting pushed to the wayside so we can develop a better way of doing things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what it says to me. And I love hearing that, man. I really do. I love hearing this. Like, everybody wants to be a part of a winner, right? That's why when you see teams that get the G5 college playoff bid, their enrollment probably goes up following that. Teams, these small schools that make the NCAA tournament, they probably get a bump in enrollment that following year. It happens. The data's out there. I'm not just pulling this out of my hat. It happens. So the better your athletic teams do, the better your university can potentially do. The earlier you get those young graduates, the better your university can potentially do. Those guys become season ticket holders and NIL donors, which means the better your athletics can do. And all of a sudden, it starts to look a whole lot like a damn cycle, doesn't it? Yes, it really, really does. So I'm glad it's a new era, right? And I think I've never been fortunate enough to speak to Brad Smith. I've seen him at many a game, right? Many a game. He's always there. And he seems so approachable, but I've just not had the opportunity. And I think it was a leader like that needed to be he was the right place, right guy at the right time in the right place. It's right. I mean, like I appreciated what Dr. Kopp was doing. I loved that era of Marshall, you know, the growth that we were seeing and the successes we were seeing. But it just seems like Brad Smith is the right guy at the right time for the right place. And it's kind of, I won't say it's all falling together, but a hell of a lot more pieces seem to be falling together than before. You know, you mentioned the alumni weekend banquet. You mentioned that it was some moving parts and moving pieces and you had to change venues. I heard on the street that was happening, but can you tell me why that was happening?
Yeah. So when I took this job, also, I was a one-man show. And so much of the duties of alumni, because there went 7 months without an alumni team here when my predecessor left, and then there was some restructuring here. So a lot of the alumni duties were absorbed in the building. So over the last 2 years, Jimmy and I, even though it's our event, because it's the alumni board and the alumni relations office, we haven't had creative control. We spoke, but we were kind of like, other than our monologues, we were puppets reading scripts. And so I just remember the first meeting I was on when the board asked me, are we able to come to the banquet? And like, obviously many of them have partners. They want to bring their partners. I'm like, I was told you all get 2 tables. So here in this building, it's a beautiful building, but our largest room, Kenny, with fire marshal code only can get like maybe 220 people in there. So just looking around the room the last few years, Jimmy and I have been saying, are the right people here? Not that they weren't, but like the right people are also not in this room. So where we've doubled chapters, who are we to say? And last year we were able to include all of, at that time, it was about 18 or 19 chapters. 2 people from every chapter can come. And yeah, we'll invite all the board members and then the executive team can bring a date. So then Jimmy and I thought too, along with Walker, who are we to tell these chapters who are literally volunteers? Like they're only doing this because they love Marshall. They are not paid. They're literally planning fundraisers. They're having doing this stuff, you know, in the evenings. They've got families. They've got jobs. This is a difficult time. This economy's tough. Like, and they're making Marshall a priority. The least we could do is give a table to each of these chapters if they want to come. So we're going to have the event down at the Marshall Health Network. Each of the chapters are there. We're giving all of the colleges. So it's another way too, just so you know, state funding has declined forever. It's just the nature of the economy. So we were billing before Jimmy and I had control of this banquet, and Walker, I've got to give him credit because this has been his baby. He calls it the Marshall Oscars. It's going to be a show. It's going to be fun. But we used to bill the academic colleges $500 to have a table. So like pay us $500 so you can have a couple seats and give out a cheap award. No, we're going to Blinko glass. It's going to be nice. We're not billing these offices. They're already losing money from the state because everybody is. And it's also Save to Serve. We're literally the foundation. We exist to support the foundation and alumni. We exist to support the university. So we're going to have tables for all the chapters. Our board is going to be there with their partners. We're going to have all the academic colleges each get a table. And then we're going to have some of our partners who make this stuff possible. Athletics will be there. We're expecting at least 400 people, possibly 450. And it's the evening of alumni weekend that Saturday. So, and again, everybody's not a banquet person, and that's okay. There's a baseball game going on as part of the quarterback club weekend. So some folks will come to the banquet. Some folks after the spring football game will go over to the baseball game. And so, again, we're just trying to diversify the opportunity for folks to just come and get engaged with Marshall. I know Kenny's excited for the banquet specifically too.
I'll go to them. I'm just saying, you know, I kind of feel like a fish out of water, and I don't know why. You know, I mean, I'm a social dude. I'll talk to anybody. Obviously,
you won't be alone.
I meant to say Kenny, I just almost ruined something, but Jimmy is really excited about the banquet, and I think he wants to talk about it for a second.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, one of these is going to be a great, amazing weekend. Like I said, we talk about growing, you know, you're going to talk about growing the reach. And I think 2 ways that, you know, exemplify that is tripling chapters and doubling the amount of people that go to our alumni awards banquet, right? That's just naturally, organically growing it. All right. And so we start off the week. I give myself a plug. So we start off the week on Thursday, April 10th. We're going to have Katie, I know this is going to be near and dear to your heart. We're going to have our spring alumni sale, our online BSN flash sale. So you see, that's what I'm wearing tonight. This came from our sale last spring. This year we'll have the 75 game interlocking MU logo. That's going to be the logo we're going to use to put all our merch. And so that's fun, you know, because hey, you see that logo on the helmet, you're like, man, that'd be nice to have that. And you know, in our board, we can put that logo on Nike stuff, North Face, a whole bunch of sweet Jordan brand stuff. So it's going to be really nice. So we're going to launch out on April 10th. We have our meeting Friday, April 11th. And then, of course, spring game, the Alumni Awards Banquet, where we as Matt mentioned, we kind of call it the Marshall Oscars this year. Rolling out the green carpet. We're going to recognize some great honorees. I don't think we've released the award winners yet, have we, Matt? Yes, so that'll be coming soon. And then also as president, when I started my presidency, I want to kind of give a vision to the board. So I started 3 C's, which stands for current students, current alumni, and the community. So it's like, hey, whatever we focus on, no matter what committee you're on, this is going to be our focus. So last year, that was, kind of cemented for all time. We started the Ron Area 3 C's Award. And so this is an award that we started last year. And as a president, I get to give that out every year. So that's pretty sweet. And so do you want an exclusive?
Yeah, lay it on me, man. It's not for me. This is for the people.
So as president, the national president of the Marshall University Alumni Association, I have decided that the recipient of the 3 C's Award for 2025 would be none other than the ThunderCast.
What?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. What? All right. Stop. Full stop. I can't speak for Russ, but I'm going to speak for Russ. Thank you, first of all. That's very humbling. But I really don't know what to say because I didn't know that was going to happen, right? And I'm not trying to make this moment about me and about us, but that's tremendously humbling. Okay, let me put that in perspective for you of how humbling that is, because we are just 2 dudes who have a hell of a lot of fun talking into microphones about herd athletics. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do this. Well, I do this for free. I'd say I do this for free. I do it for free. To be recognized on a university level for something that I have so much fun doing is incredibly humbling. We don't do this for awards. We don't do this for recognition. We do not do this for notoriety. We do this for one reason and one reason only: to grow and galvanize the herd fan base. Yep. That is it. And I should include that it's the alumni base as well, because we have just spent 30 minutes talking about how it's the same thing.
Right.
Thank you so very much from the bottom of my Kelly Green heart. Look at you choking me up.
You deserve him. Yeah,
you took a guy that has a hard time shutting up, and you shut me up. That's really, really humbling. Thank you, man.
You guys deserve it, though, and I'm glad, because for a second I was about to get choked up. So I'm glad you did that, because I was going to say I'm tired. That's why I'm crying. Also, I love that somebody else, Jimmy, says from the bottom of my Kelly Green heart. I'm not a Marshall nerd that says that.
No,
people deserve this. And when we asked Jimmy who he wanted to give this to, because last year it was a little more orchestrated. Dr. Aria was retiring. There were some folks. The 3 folks that we gave it to last year it was inaugural. We wanted to celebrate those 3 groups that Jimmy has really structured everybody around: current students, the community, and current alumni. And so when we asked him, it was immediate, like Russ and Kenny and the ThunderCast. So also we need a headshot of you guys, preferably together if you have one. I need a bio like ASAP, because I got to get that in the program. I'll be following up after this email. But if you all are free on April 12th, we want you all and a guest to come and join us. And we'll make sure that you all have fun. If you can't make it, we understand, but we'd love for you to join us at the.
Well, I know KD right now. I preferred this already. I already asked KD if he planned on being in town for Alumni Week. He already told me he could. So.
Well, I mean, April 12th is the spring football game, which coincides with a massive tailgate that we will be hosting that day.
Absolutely.
So any of you alumni weekenders that are going to be coming in to hear that, you should know that the ThunderCast always puts down a huge tailgate for the spring game, free to all. So it's a great place to come and fellowship about the herd, talk ball. You might even run into some herd legends. They were all over the place last year.
Yes, they were.
So I am fully 100% planning to be in town. Now I have to convince my wife to come along with me.
And you got to dress up for that banquet.
Yeah, you got to find your one
son of a bitch. Yeah,
there will be a natural opportunity for you to finally have that conversation with Brad Smith, because he will be
handing
you that trophy with Kenny. or with Jimmy and taking a picture, and then we'll make sure you have that conversation with him.
Unbelievable. I'm at a loss for words. I really am. I am not going to tell Russ. I'm going to let you tell Russ, right? Because I think that's only fair. I did this, like I said, to lighten his load because he's so busy doing the regular show and our schedules don't line up very often. I didn't purposefully exclude him. I was trying to lighten his load. And if I'd have thought this was going to happen, I would have 100% said, you need to be on this one, man.
That's the good thing about surprises, though.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. You know, I gotta continue to drive this home because this is something that's really special to me. I've just not ever been recognized on a university level, you know, and that's so freaking cool, man. Because like you mentioned, I'm one of 156,000 or whatever the number is, 100 and some thousand alumni.
Got it.
And I'm the guy sitting here doing this for fun. And it's enough of a reward that, you know, I get to talk to the people I do. I love talking to guys like you and Jimmy and Matt. And I love talking to you guys. And I love talking to our players and our coaches. And I love being able to bring those people closer to our fans that otherwise would not be able to hear from them. I never considered my work important. It's fun. You know, it's not important. But I think when other people tell you what you do is important, maybe I should listen.
Hey,
Maybe
Jimmy,
I should.
Jimmy, with this reaction, I think you chose the right people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, man. I'm a humble dude, and this is tough, man. This is tough to swallow because I know there are alums that are so very, very deserving of they've just done things and achieved things, and I look up to those people and are like, man, you really did something. You know, and again, look at me. I threw on a hoodie and sat here and talk about herd football for a while.
You got about less than a month to realize that you and Russ definitely belong with those people that you hold so esteem. So, you know, when I think about just really quickly, the nature of the award, right? Current students, alumni community. The work that you all do, you know, lots of schools, lots of fan bases have shows about their football team or their basketball team. You can turn on ThunderCast, you'll hear something about swimming and diving, cross country, you know, soccer, softball, all the things our current students are doing. You'll have alumni back, you know, former players come back. What you're doing is so important because no matter if you are in Huntington, if you're in Kentucky like you and I, Katie, if you're if you're in Florida, if you're in Europe or in Asia, you can turn to the ThunderCast and you can get a glimpse. Okay, you can stay connected, and that's so mightily important, especially for a smaller university like us. So what y'all do, and the reason why I selected is that you all have just enriched the lives of so many Marshall alumni across the world. And so I'm glad that we can help, paint that picture to, everyone in attendance and everyone that listens to your show.
They're also my fraternity brothers. So I'd be remiss to say, like, personally, they've always led by example. Even when I was a little S word in the fraternity, and they were our advisors, and you're like, these are the old guys, they don't know what they're talking about. They've led by example, and I'm just so happy to see them getting the accolades they deserve out in the big world. Jimmy, always proud. I told Kenny this when I just love when people are like, you know about the ThunderCast, and I'm like, I know them, and it's not because of this job, but I know them and who they are as people, who they are as like dads, who they are as husbands, like brothers to me. The service you don't get to see, but like they make time for our fraternity. They still are a huge part of honoring alumni in our fraternity. So it's just nice to see people like this get recognized.
Absolutely.
It's really important to remember and appreciate where you come from, right? And that's why I do what I do. I love where I come from. I love the people that helped me along the way to get to where I am right now. And I just want people to love it as much as I do. And it's hard to do, but if I can be a vehicle to help spread that love and that passion amongst the herd, then that's what I want to do. But thank you, man. Thank you so much. I'm I'm just stunned. You know, I usually don't have a problem talking a lot, and I don't have the words at the moment.
Kenny cried. Russ is definitely going to cry. You can tell him, he'll see this, but yeah, Russ is definitely going to cry. Even if he doesn't cry to you, Jimmy, he's going to hang up the phone and cry.
Yeah. I'm not going to post this until if you don't have his phone number, I'm going to give it to you so you can call him tonight. I know he's available. So, I don't want him to see this before you get a chance to talk to him.
Okay.
But anyway, one last thing before I get you guys out of here after the showstopper that you just laid on me. How can people get involved with the Marshall University Alumni Association? How?
Yeah, great question. I'll start off and Mac and then so we actually right now, if you go to formarshallu.org, you can anyone could go on and either nominate themselves or nominate someone to be a part of our Alumni Association board. So every year we elect 10 new members to our board, and we'll also during our Alumni Awards banquet, we will be promoting that as well. So that's one way to join our national board. But then also we have chapters, as we say, we triple chapters. We want to continue growing chapters. So no matter, so where you live, there should be a chapter. And if there's not a chapter where you live, then, talk to about 4 or 5 other folks and think about starting a chapter. And so that was just, kind of 2 ways to get involved immediately. And Matt, anything you would add to that?
Perfect timing. I just ran to get a little prop I want to show. So those are ways to get involved with the board. Obviously, we're trying to get young folks involved so they can join a chapter. If you go to that website, again, formarshallu.org, 2 things I want to point out. You can see where our chapter network is. There's contact information for those chapters. The other piece from that website, click on the staff page or contact us page. My contact information is there. Folks can always reach out to me. I can always direct you to Jimmy, but my job is literally I have one of the best jobs in the world. I get paid to go around talking about Brad Smith and Marshall and Christian Spears and our athletic teams. We're also about to embark. We're going to launch this in April with Day of Giving. So if you're a little bit more seasoned alum, $25 is not a lot. You heard the numbers earlier. We could have a lot more people under the tent, and all of your money is either going to support athletics directly. We sponsored, just so you all know, last year, a sum of $60,000 in terms of tailgates, gatherings. The biggest piece of my budget from our office, and I have Jimmy and the board support to do this, goes to athletics. It's a third of my budget. And so what we're going to do is join us in 25 for 25. Literally, we want folks to join the Alumni Association. We're not selling these little things for $25, but anyone who joins the Alumni Association with a minimum gift of $25 is going to get one of these. And they come in a little action figure here, or action figure little thing, but it's a little mini Marco. It's called a Bobby Dobby. They can clip on your backpack. They can clip on shoes. Christian Spears supported this. He's going to have Walker come and talk to all the student athletes about why they should be an active alum when they graduate. He gave us a little sponsorship. They can clip these on their little athletic bags. It's got 75, see on the back, Marco's jersey, but the packaging is really cool. Jimmy's seen them. We were able to do this because of a gift from our chapter president in where Jimmy is at, in Louisville, our chapter president, Alex. So we just want to give a shout out to him for helping us make that happen too. So we're about to hit a membership drive. That's how people can get involved. So really soon we're going to be asking you folks for $25 so we can keep supporting athletics the way we do.
Yep. And no one gets it for free. So,
yep.
And I want one. So I'm going to hand over Matt $25 so I can get my Marco 75 Bobby Dobby. So people join me and pay $25 so we can help grow Marshall, help continue to make Marshall the place to, continue growing, and a special place for all of us, including the 3 of us here on this, call tonight.
Yeah, this what a ton of great information. What a ton of insight into what you guys are doing and have done over the past 365 days, let's say. Who knows exactly when we talked last. I want to drive home the team store that the Alumni Association is going to have. They always have some sweet gear that you're not going to get anywhere else other than when that flash sale occurs. I mean, Jimmy mentioned it, like Jordan brand polos, North Face coats. Really, really nice stuff. And they're using my absolute favorite logo this year, the 1971 MU. Love that. So I'm sure you guys are going to get a little bit of my money on that one. And then we're going to get behind you guys and this, 25 and 25. I think that's a great idea. It's not a whole lot of money. and it's for a really, really great cause. Of course, we'll have the links to ways you can join the Marshall University Alumni Association in the description to this episode. Guys, do you have anything else that you want to say before I let you have your evening back?
No, thank you for having us. Jimmy can have the final word. Love you, Kenny. Congratulations on your award. Well deserved. We'll see you April 12th.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us. And again, just like your degree, I did not give you and Russ anything. You all deserved it. This is what was earned, not given. So, thank you guys. Thank you for all you do. And thank you for all you continue to do, and go Herd.
Go Herd.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Guys, this is Matt James, Vice President of Alumni Relations for Marshall University, and Jimmy Black, the National President of Marshall University Alumni Association, gave you all the details on the 2025 Marshall Alumni Weekend, ways you can join the Alumni Association, how we can all make the herd grow stronger. We'll see you next time. Later.